Good morning, folks.
Good morning, everybody. This is Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
This is Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And you are Brewing Solutions on the Car Guy Coffee podcast. We are excited to have an incredible car guy inside of the cafe, Brewing Solutions with you. And you got to make sure that some of the best get in here with you to do that. So do us a favor.
Yes.
Tag a car guy.
Do it.
Tag a car guy.
Do it.
And share.
Don't be scared. Hey, if you care, share. That's what we do. I'm going to make sure you guys get a great show today. We have it set up. Tracy Myers, folks. Frank Meyer Auto Center. Folks, you guys don't understand. We got a wrestler promoter. We got an Emmy award-winning. Oh, are you kidding me? This is going to be a lot of fun. He has a great credential, but the biggest thing is he's a great person. And that's what we're all about. We're trying to bring great people onto our show to talk about their lives, to bring out the best in all of us. Let's keep growing.
Let's go. Everybody, get your friends in here.
Get them.
Bring a cup of coffee with you, and let's have a great cup of coffee and a conversation. Let's brew.
Let's brew.
We want to get this message out from our sponsors real quick. Just thank you so much for helping make sure that this message gets out there. We'll be right back. Get your friends in here. Hello, car guys and car gals. Welcome back to the cafe. We got a whole lot to say, but we got a whole lot of fun that we got to get to. So do us a quick favor and make sure that you are ready. You're tuned in to get a great conversation, a good cup of coffee, and be brewing solutions. Man, Fred, I'm pumped up. I know how pumped up you are.
You know I am, man. This is a guest that I'm super excited about. When I reached out to him, he was so gracious. He said, yeah, man, let's do it. And I'm so pumped up. I didn't realize it was going to be that easy, or I would have asked him like a year ago.
Right.
But no, he's the kind of guy that has that type of heart. When he sees something that he has an opportunity to help somebody, he's going to do it. So I'm so excited to have Tracy Myers here this morning, folks. Hope you guys are too. Be ready for this 5-liner. We're going to have a lot of fun. Man, I feel like we really need to build this up. Build it up, bro. Build it up. I know how you do.
Because this is a wrestling promoter. You understand when somebody comes through inside of a wrestling stadium, when there's all of these fans all over the place. My favorite was the Ultimate Warrior. I don't know who yours was.
I love some Ultimate Warrior.
If you guys are watching right now, all you car guys and car gals, if you loved wrestling as a kid or still do, who's your favorite wrestler? Go ahead and drop them inside of the comments. But seriously, this guy knows how to put it on. I don't know if we should play I Am a Real American. Get that Hulk Hogan going.
Dude, why not, bro? If you got it, put it on. Understand that we do not own the rights to that music.
We do not own the rights to any of those that are in this cafe right now, except just our tunes. But there are so many great wrestlers that have been out there. But I mean, there's so many great car guys too, and so many of them have their own character.
So I like to look at myself as a car guy or car gal promoter, right? We like to sit here and pump up our guests. We like to get them ready for the ring and get out there pumping up the thing, get it going, doing what they're supposed to do. But man, I tell you, this morning is going to be a lot of fun. Tracy's all the way out in North Carolina, right outside Fayetteville. Great dealer, great person. But it's just more. He's more than a dealer, folks. We all know dealers. We've met dealers. We've met dealers who are very uninvolved. They kind of they're the name of the dealership. They don't really have a process. They hire people and they have them do everything. Well, here's the difference. Tracy does a lot more than that. Tracy, not only does he get involved, but he's also about his culture. He's about his family tradition. He's about making sure that the culture gets pushed out through his whole dealership. He's also talking about bringing it through the world. He's put some stuff out there, folks. That's amazing. There's that music going right there. So I'm excited. He's an author. He's everything. He's put out some shows. I mean, folks, Emmy award winning. Come on now. How many of us can say that we know anybody that's won an Emmy award?
Seriously.
I know somebody. He's on my show right now.
Come on. Speaking of coming on the show right now, here he is, car guys and car gals, and all you solutionaries out there. Welcome to the cafe, Tracy Myers.
Good morning. What's going on, guys?
Oh, dude, living the dream, man. So excited to have you here this morning. We appreciate you. I know you're a busy man, so time is money and money is time. But, man, we're going to have some fun this morning. I think you're going to enjoy yourself. But most importantly, everybody out there is going to get an opportunity to hear what you're all about and hear how you got to where you're at today, because I know you have a great story. I've read a little bit about it, and, man, the story's wonderful. He has a great tradition of a lot of folks. I don't want to give away. I want him to answer this, so I'm going to leave it at that.
Not going to spill too many beans.
That being said, before we go too much further, folks, I want to throw a quick shout out to a good friend of mine. He's drinking one of the cups that he sent us. Michael Landis, all the way out in California. He's with Ink-Centric, folks. Ink-Centric is a great company out there. They do a little bit everything. He's got that cup. He's got this. They got that. They do anything that you can imagine that you need printed or made, banners, whatever. They did. Look at this. How cool. It says Fred on that Car Guy Coffee logo. I don't know if you guys see that, but he made that personally for one for me and one for Lou. Thanks. Man, that's so nice of him. He sent us out a sweet swag pack. He's got a lot of samples. Reach out to him. Landis, Michael Landis. Ink-Centric, Inkcentric. Folks, so good. An amazing people, great people, real people. That's what it's all about. So let's get this thing going, man. How are you this morning, Tracy?
And I'm pumped up, ready to go, like always. How about you guys?
Exactly.
I've been watching.
Yeah, we're pretty. We kind of caffeinate ourselves before we get going, so we're pumped up.
I got you.
Yeah, not too deep into the cup yet.
This is that Car Guy coffee.
That's right. But one thing that we do to make sure that we stay pumped up and we keep growing is to apply 3 F's before we get into any sort of a session with Solutionaries, and that's to make sure that we together forgive, focus, and fly so that we can keep growing. And it does come with a few movements. So, I mean, again, I can't think of a wrestler's moves that they actually would do before they would do their move, but this is kind of our move. What we got there? Woo! Check that out.
That's right. The nature
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I just saw it on my shoulder. Yeah.
He's a classic.
Awesome.
That is ultimate OG wrestler right there. I love him so much. That's awesome. Woo!
But this is our woo right here. This is the forgive, focus, fly mantra. So we're going to wipe off the weight of unforgiveness. We're going to focus, and then we're going to fly so that we can keep growing. So, Tracy, help us out real quick. Cross the arms one time. Let us forgive, focus, and fly together. 1, 2, 3. Wipe it. Forgive.
Focus. Fly. And keep growing. Keep growing. Keep growing. Yeah. That's right. Thank you. Now you are part of the Car Guy Coffee Club. So we appreciate you for joining it. You were initiated. That is the official secret handshake right there. So let's get this thing going. Man, so we have this thing called the 5-liner. And for all our guests out there that watch the show, they know what that's about. The 5-liner is 5 questions we love to ask our guests to be able to get to know how they got from where they were years ago to where they at today and what motivates them. So my number one question for you today is my favorite question out of all the questions. What is your why? What is your purpose? What gets you motivated every single day to be Tracy Myers?
Yeah, man. Great question. And first of all, thanks for having me here. It's awesome, especially well, it's not early in the morning for me, man. I wake up at 5:30. But look, without the generic answer of family, which I mean, it is family, but it's more than my immediate family, which is my wife and 2 kids. It's about my great grandfather who started the first Frank Myers store 103 years ago this year. So it's legacy for me. It's all about legacy.
Come on. Man,
legacy is a big deal. We absolutely Love that, because legacy is right up our alley. We're all about leaving a legacy of growth for people.
Yes.
You know, it's not just for your family, but it's through people you touch. Every one of your employees, your friends. I mean, it doesn't matter. You always want to leave something for them that you can pass on, whether it's your energy, it's your mind, it's your business, it's your whatever it is. You want to leave that legacy, and you're doing it really well, my friend. You've left a legacy I think that's going to be going on for generations and generations.
But I tell my team members all the time, I hate to see them go, but if I don't do my job as a leader and I don't develop them to where they can grow and go, then I've not done my job. So, man, it's tough to see them leave, but there are bigger things in the world than staying here, and I love to have them here forever. We got to have them grow so they can go.
Man, I love that. And that's great that you have that type of heart and mentality, because a lot of times when somebody leaves now, don't get me wrong, lateral moves are not what we want to see people do.
Right,
you should never make a lateral move. When I see somebody leave me for a lateral position, I'm like, what are you thinking? But who knows, right? But that being said, when they're going up, like people, we look at you, somebody like Tracy, who owns his own store. He's doing his thing. He's done a multitude of things, but eventually you want your people to be you one day. You want your people to grow, not necessarily exactly you, but to have that opportunity to be an owner one day, maybe to run their own store, do all those things. And obviously you own your store, so they can't own it. So what they got to do, they have to go reach out and start growing other places. But that's what part of that legacy is. You left that legacy. It's what's beautiful is I can tell you almost 20 years. I know you've been doing it your whole life, but 20 years for us in the business, each one of us, we're close to 20 now. So almost 40 years combined. We have seen people that work for us, we trained up, and we've seen them move on, and we've seen them do amazing stuff. I've seen managers, and I've had managers who would just talk crap about that person when they left, right?
Right.
I'm the opposite. I'm excited. I want to call them and ask them how they're doing. Is there anything I could ever do to help you? You let me know. If there's something that you need help with in that department, or something that you need some advice on, I'm here for you. And that's what that whole thing is about. It's no hate. It's all love. I believe there's competition, but I think it's friendly competition, and it's a good thing to have. I don't think competition's a bad thing, because that's what keeps us accountable, what keeps us moving forward.
Keeps us growing.
Yeah. So, man, great answer on that. I love that you're leaving a legacy, and that's what you're focusing on, because that is family. Family is legacy. They're also your legacy. Right. So many things. So you can tie that into a multitude of stuff. So I absolutely think that's great.
Well, there's the idea of you laying the seeds for a tree that you'll never get the chance to enjoy the shade of.
Boom.
Right. And you do that with your business. You do that first and foremost with your family, with your actual seeds, with what is the good fruit of you. So the word says that we're not to judge a man lest we be judged, but if you are to judge one, you judge them by their fruit.
Right.
So the way that I tell that it's an apple tree is I test the seed or the fruit from the apple, from the actual tree, right? I taste the apple. That's how I identify that. When you have good fruit, it bears good seed. And the important thing is not to hoard that seed, not to just be the only one growing. It's to pour out and to allow that to spread. So what's locked up inside of one piece of fruit is many, many generations worth of seeds. And that's what's inside of our business. We need to remember that as people do grow and we go out, car guys, car gals, people that are developing people on the showroom floor, whether you're a leader on the floor, make sure that you are giving time to make sure that something that you've learned that is of great value for you, that's made you successful, something you pass to somebody else to say, here, use this tool. Use this too, because too many times in this business, we pass around some bad habits, and it's important that we do sow seeds that you do see good fruit from. But we honor you for being the man that you are, that's leaving that legacy, and you can tell that it's an intentional thing. It's the very first thing you point to, right?
Right.
So that's very, very important. A lot to take from that. I want to kind of shift real quick on the car guy side to make sure that we do understand what really was the path that got you into the automotive industry. If it was legacy, how did all of that tie together to get you where it is that you are today?
Yeah, so it's a strange story, but it's one I've told several times. But my dad actually never pushed me to get into the business, and I think that was very important for me because we see PhD guys and girls all the time. Pop had a dealership, right? And a lot of times they fail miserably because they felt like they were obligated to get into the business. And it wasn't their passion, wasn't their desire, because I think deep down, we all want to make our parents proud of us. So we choose the path that they want, that they've chosen for us. he never chose that path for me. He never pushed me into it. He never even asked me if that's what I wanted to do. As a matter of fact, when I was a teenager, I said, that's not what I want to do, because I saw how often he was away from us as a family. And subconsciously, I made that connection that, what he did for a living took him away from his family. So I didn't want to do that. So I went to school to do something entirely different, moved out of state. And I worked a couple retail jobs at the mall, and being a single 18-year-old kid, I couldn't make the money that I wanted to make working retail. So I opened the paper, which for those younger folks, that's what we used to do to look for a job. We opened the help wanted section, and the big ad that car dealers ran at the time was make up to $35,000 a year. The number's arbitrary, but it's more than I was making, selling cars, no experience necessary. So I walked into a Toyota store in Atlanta.
Yep.
They hired me in about 7 seconds. And I told them I was still in school. They asked me what my schedule was. I said to go to school from 8 to 1. And they said, well, you can work the 3 to midnight shift. So I worked 3 to midnight. And even though that's not what I wanted to do, I knew I could do it because my family did it, right? That's just the connection I made in my brain. Yeah. And of course, you get that first commission check. And I quit school 2 weeks later. It's like, oh man, what? I'm in school for what reason? So the fun part of the story is, ironic part of the story rather, is that I still sold cars there for a year. I didn't tell my parents I quit school, and I don't know how I thought that they wouldn't find out that I wasn't in school, right? They were paying for it. I didn't think my dad would find out that I was selling cars at another dealership, because I was pretty sure he would absolutely kill me, right? But after about a year and a half, I was selling 35 cars a month. I said, you know what? I think it's time to go home. I accepted that this is my legacy. This is what I was destined to do. And I came home and I told my dad, I said, hey, here's what I've been doing. He said, yeah, I know. I've known this for over a year. And I didn't even question at the time how he knew, right? We reflect back. I reflect back on those things. I'm like, oh yeah, I can see totally now. But I said, do you have a spot for me? He said, yeah, I got a spot for you. So I came in that was a Friday. I came in on a Monday, shirt and tie. He said, you're a little overdressed. I'm like, overdressed for what, man? I'm selling cars. He said, you're not selling cars. You're going to the detail shop. I'm like, dude, what the heck are you talking about? The detail shop? I've been making I'm making $100,000 a year. I'm not going to the detail shop making minimum wage. He said, well, you will if you want a job with the family business. So I actually stayed in the detail shop for almost 2 years. Wow. It was, I hated it at the time, and I hated my father at the time, right? Hate's a strong word, but you get the sentiment, right? I was very unhappy with my father at the time. Yes. Looking back, that was the best thing he could have done for me. And afterwards, I said, man, why don't you have me in the detail shop for 2 years? He said, because if I don't start you at the bottom as my son, people will never respect you as you work your way up. So this is the greatest lesson I learned. So, man, I fell in love with the business, and I've done every position in the store. Some of them fantastic, some of them not so well. My ADD kicks in, so I'm not that great with finance, because you got to sit there too long, and I can do it, but man, I got to get up. I'm bouncing in this chair because I'm like, I got to go. But I've done every position, and I worked my way up, and I bought the store. It wasn't given to me. And in 06, my dad came to me, 05 rather. He said, I think it's time for you. I said, time to what? He said, well, I think it's time that you bought the store. And we had never had a discussion about it. I said, do you think I'm ready? He said, you're past ready, man. You've been running it. I'm basically not a silent owner, but he wasn't present, right? I was running the store for 3 years at that point. And here all the time and working 18-hour days and the whole deal. So I bought it. It wasn't given to me. So I respect it that way. I appreciate it that way. We've done everything from traditional retail. We've had new car stores, buy here, pay here. And my heart is subprime. So, man, I love subprime business, special finance, and that customer, because I like to see them. My dad always called it down the road motors. So I call it down the road motors. It's like, here's where they are. Here's where we help them get, right? If they do their part, right? We watch them grow. Bro. I love that, man. Yeah.
I love it too. I don't know if you caught my nickname, Subprime Hero. I'm absolutely passionate about subprime.
I love it so much, man.
I'm more passionate about my clients. It's it's like you said, down the road, how the path that you could teach them and how they could become one day. And that's the thing. Like a lot of people, they come to you and they're scared. They've already been rejected. They've been treated wrong. They've been told no. They've been told yes, and then got the car taken back from them. They've had so many things that have happened to them that they hate car dealers. They're like, they keep telling me
they're so angry, man. They're so angry. They're angry about life. They're angry about what's happened to them. They're angry about car dealerships. They're angry about their rent. They're angry at their landlord. They're angry at their ex-spouse or ex-spouses. They're angry at their kids. And they come in with you angry. And if you don't have a heart of being a servant, they're going to be angry at you too. And that's what I have to teach my team members from the beginning. They're not angry at you. They're angry at the situation. We need to listen. And a lot of times they just need that. And a lot of us can't empathize with where they're at because we've never been there, by the way. But we have to listen and have that sympathy and show them how to get where they want to be. Now, they have to take on that role at that point, right? Yes. We can't give it to them. They have to take it. If they don't take it, that's on them, but we've done our part.
Right.
And that makes me, as excited as I get to see those customers that actually take that and grow, it makes me equally as sad to see the folks who have that opportunity. And I know you guys have seen it, right? Where you get that blessing from a lender.
Yes.
Gift is what we call it, right?
That's it is.
Gift and the buyer's asleep or whatever. And it's like, man, you just got a $20,000 car after 2 repos. This is your blessing, right?
Yeah.
And we educate. We're like, look, make your payments on time. Try to keep the rest of your bills where they're at, man. You stay in this pocket and grow. And if you will, you'll be better in 2 to 3 years. And then you get the cancellation letter from your lender that the car was repossessed and that you got to cancel the product and say, oh man, it just guts you. So it guts me. It's just, man.
It does me too. I do finance at my store, so I'm the one who has to do all the cancellations like that. And it does, especially when you see the names and you know who they were. You're like, wow, they're good people. What happened? Sometimes you wish they reached out to you. Maybe there was something you could have done because you become, like you said, you really care about your clients. And when you start to sympathize for them, and like you said, we can't empathize with everything, but we could definitely sympathize with everything. And
look, when I was in college, and I really have lived several lives in my 49 years, and been in so many different places because I grew up poor, even though we had a business. And I've seen people that were poorer than we were, right? We had a roof. And my dad worked 3 and 4 jobs, even selling cars. He still worked 3 and 4 jobs, right? Just to pay the bills. And that's where my work ethic comes from, hands down, even though I don't have to work like that now. And my dad asked me, he said, why do you work the way that you work? You don't have to. Spend time with your kids. You'll regret it later. And of course, my kids aren't kids anymore. And I do regret it, right? They're 19 and 16. But that was, for better or worse, that was put into me by my father, the work ethic, because he was committed not to stay in that place that we were in, which was poor. And, we would go to the grocery store with my mom, and she would go to I don't know if this is in every town, every city, but the grocery cart at the front that had the cans without the labels, the dented cans, right? And a lot of times they didn't have labels, but you knew it was soup or you knew it was a vegetable. They wrote it with a Sharpie at the discount grocery store, and she would open that. We would hope it was chicken noodle. Vegetable soup. We're like, man, but we ate what we had, but that's the way we live. But my dad was determined not to stay in that situation because he said, look, being poor is not permanent unless you choose for it to be permanent.
Right.
And it's funny because when I went to college and I got the job selling cars, I was making a ton of money. Before that, if you want to rewind just a little bit, I was homeless for 2 months before I accepted that job. I refused to ask my parents for help. It was more from being stubborn than anything, right? Because I said, I'm not going to ask them for anything because they didn't want me to come here to begin with. This isn't on them. I'm going to do this myself. So it's funny how that stuff comes full circle and makes us who we are, So I can't empathize with a lot of our customers. And I know that a lot of them, if they'll put the work in and keep their mind right, that they can overcome all of that. That's not the case for everyone. And we know those customers as well, but there's so many that can and choose not to. It's really sad.
And sometimes they don't have the direction to, right? Sometimes we don't have a process in place that helps to make sure that we do give way for that honest conversation where they get the chance to be deposited into the direction that they need to go in order to get where they're going. And we get so caught up thinking that they understand our jargon and our metrics and our goals, right? They don't care about any of that, right? The reason why a lot of times they're so mad is that most people have conveyed to them that they don't care about their problem, right? So they're mad, so they're upset, and they don't want to go to the next level or trust anybody. And that's how life is, right? That's how we can get these calluses where we don't want anybody to help us just because everybody looked at our situation and said, you're beyond help. And sometimes we looked at our situation and said, no, I'm not going to accept help, right? I'll be homeless before I accept help from somebody else if I can't figure this out on my own. And sometimes we find ourselves inside of that spot. What's important is that we do have the humility to be able to sit there and say, okay, I need help. Help me to be better. And let me point you in the right direction. And the biggest thing that we run inside of this crazy fast-paced business is stopping long enough to let them tell us what it's going to take for us to help them, where we're so pinpointed on going over our scripts, going over everything that we know, right? We want to make sure the customer knows everything that we know. You know, here's all the things I know. Here's the
listen. I know everything.
Yeah. Buy from me because I know things. Yeah, that's cool. But you don't know what I just told you, sir. You don't know why I said that repo happened. I was trying to explain it to you and you didn't listen. Oh, yeah, but man, tell me again what happened. You know what I mean? That's one of the most embarrassing questions for me. I don't know about the rest of you car guys. Is like, can you tell me your name again? You know what I mean? It can, and all of those little details that they poured out for you to be able to pick up and utilize, and to be able to let them know, hey, you're a human and I accept you and I'm pulling you in and I'm going to show you the right way. That's something that I believe that because again, we are ADD. Most great car guys are so boom, boom, boom. I'm, whatever direction it is that something awesome is happening, I'm going to go to the awesomer thing, right? And that's how we are. And I know I'm definitely that
awesomer.
But right, yeah, I'm throwing words. We make up our own words, right? Because we know things, right, inside of this business. But it's so important that we do go with intention, but at heart, knowing why we're doing it at heart. You know why you want to help these people. So it helps you to focus and be intentional in, okay, so here's our process and here's the culture that we have to be able to help this person that's inside of a weakened buying state, right? We can help to give them the muscle, the rehabilitation to get them where they want to be. And at the same time, not pull the punches and know that you've spent enough time to leverage that time into depositing truth that might be a little scathing, that might be hey, you didn't need these credit cards. You don't say yes to everybody that says yes to you. Okay. You don't do that. And one great thing that we enjoy doing with our store is letting our people come back. Hey, you're about to get a whole lot of offers in the mail once you get 3 or 4 good payments underneath your belt. Once everybody sees that you got a new car and your new line of credit. So this credit card, this line of credit, all these things are going to come to your house. Most of that is garbage, but I can help you know what to do with it. And I've had some customers that would come through, say, what do I do with this, and this, and throw this out, chuck this right here. This is 0% for this much time. This is what, and then give them the tips on how to use it. You're approved for that. This is how you could leverage it because you're a 3-line 700 that's never really done anything, right? Let me show you how to really build that credit muscle. And I'm thankful that we do have that culture. You have that culture there. Literally a few of our guys taking those tips that they taught customers just how to buy cars. They saw them transform their whole life. They run credit repair agencies and help educate people on their credit, because that's the biggest thing. If the people aren't taught, they don't know. You don't know.
You're not educated in high school, and they don't have like formal education for that. You have to go seek that.
Yes.
Most parents, they try to teach their kids, but they don't even know because they were never educated, right? So it's just an endless cycle, and it keeps going and going. So when you're in the subprime business and you have passion, just like like Tracy does, here's a sad thing, folks, is that most people and most dealers across the nation do not care about subprime. They don't even They don't even dabble in it. If they do, it's a whole different department. They're treated like second class citizens. They get put on cars that they don't want, they don't like. And I'm not saying that you always can put a person with subprime credit in the car they want, but you could put them in something reliable, nice, that has a warranty that could ride out for a while. So this way they could be happy to own for at least 3 to 4 years, right? Up to 6 years, depending on how long the loan is. But at least 3 to 4 years before their credit gets reestablished, and they can come back and buy something that's going to be at a better rate, maybe exactly what they want. But you have to educate them and explain why. A lot of problems is that people are like, oh, you can't buy that. You can only buy this. And they don't tell them why. They don't explain. They don't give them paint the picture of the future, and that's it. You have to paint a picture for them. You have to show them, hey, let me show you this beautiful art that I could do for you. If you do this, this is what it's going to look like in the future for you. It's going to be so much better. You got to make these payments on time. I'm going to help you. I could even set you up automatically, even bi-weekly if you want. I have companies that do that for you. There's so many things that you can do to make the process better for them, easier for them. So in the future, that picture that you painted, it actually becomes. They can come back and see you, and then you change their life. As sad as it is to see, like Tracy talked about earlier, somebody and you get the repo letter saying you need to cancel their product, and you're like, man, that's horrible. What's even better, what's the best thing is the opposite. 3 years later, they come back, their credit's a 700 now or a high 6. They could buy whatever they want. They've been on their job for 3 more years now. They have more stability. They've been at their residence for 3 more years now. They have way more. Everything is a better picture to give to the bank. Now, all of a sudden, they go from a 20% rate down to like a 7% rate. Do you know the difference in that, folks?
That's exactly what I was going to say. Nobody tells them the difference in that 7% and that 29% in North Carolina is the max, right? Since we've been a full spectrum and we don't have new car stores now, don't want a new car store, nothing against them. It's just not me, right? You're not an entrepreneur anymore. You're working for someone else. But we have been there and going from buy here, pay here, and we have 2 buy here, pay here stores. We see those customers, and that's learned behavior for the most part from their parents, because the parents didn't know, just like you said, right? They weren't taught by their parents. So they are accustomed to disposable transportation, meaning the next tax check, they're going to get another car, right? Every year, disposable, kick it.
I'm stealing that track from you. Disposable.
Yes, absolutely. It's disposable transportation every tax time, right? And you see that on if they go to a buy here, pay here that reports, you'll see that on the credit bureau. 1 year. What the heck? Well, the radio stopped working. That's not why they gave the car back. They gave the car back because that's what they were taught. They were taught that every year when they get the tax check back, that's free money. So let's take that free money and get another car.
Yep.
So we need to re-educate them the right way. And they have to accept that. And the best is going from buy here, pay here, teaching them, moving up to special finance, subprime, teaching them. And then they get that credit union rate, that 2.9, 3.9 over, and it takes 8, 9, 10 years sometimes, but that's only 3 cars, right? In the cycle.
And they got to start at some
10 years, man. And you see them come back. It's awesome.
It is the best. And and they thank you. Thank you for showing me this. Thanks. I appreciate that. And it's such a warm feeling, and that's a beautiful thing. And I love that you have that culture, because I would fit right into your culture, just like you would fit right into ours, because that's exactly what we are. We're at the store I'm at, we're pre-owned. We deal with that. We deal with 80% subprime. We definitely love to help people. We love to be what we call transportation problem solvers, because we don't sell cars.
We're solutions providers. Yeah,
that's automotive. Talking about, the deal. You had that culture, and that's crazy. Some people laugh when you tell them that, especially a car guy that's been at other dealerships. Yeah. But when I've been there, even I did when I first started working for this group, I laughed. I was like, oh, I got you. Got you. But then I started working there, and then I felt the culture. Then I understood it, and then I became that culture, and I love it. And that's Subprime Hero all day. And I just want to bring light to this. Here's the thing, guys, and I've talked about it all year long since Corona happened. Subprime is a bigger market now. There's a lot of people who were near prime, all of a sudden now they're subprime. A lot of things happened this past year. People lost jobs, couldn't work. They were on furlough for 6-7 months. Some people made more money during furlough, but the majority of people that were doing decent, they did not. They had to take pay cuts. They had to not be able to pay certain bills. They had to make decisions that they never made before, right? So it was a unique time in the world, but subprime became a bigger market. So folks, if you're not out there doing what Tracy's doing at his store, like we're doing at our store, or a lot of stores that I do know out there, if you're not doing that, you're missing a big part of the market share. And that's okay. If you don't want to do it, I'll take it all. But at the same time, there's plenty of it for everybody out there. Because it got so big, it's plenty. There's plentiful. Treat everybody like a millionaire when they walk in your store. Make them all feel good. Make them feel like you truly care, that you're listening to their story, that you're going to do everything you can in your power to help them get to the next level. And the next level, whether it's leaving in a nicer, newer vehicle or giving them a path to purchase to show them how to get their credit right. Because sometimes people just say, no, I can't help you, and they kick them out. Well, that's crappy too. They just spent their time, gave you trust, gave you their credit information, said all this stuff. And at the end, all you do is say, I can't help you. Well, why can't you help them? Explain, and then tell them what they need to do. If they did this, this, and this, what they can do to make themselves get to that opportunity to be able to purchase a vehicle.
They may not all listen, right?
They may not
all listen.
Nope.
But you got to at least give them some value.
You got to do it. And if you do it every time consistently, I promise you, your numbers go up. Your customer appreciation goes way the heck up. You'll get referrals from those customers, even if they don't buy. It's crazy, but it's true.
And you'll be surprised how many people stop and say, nobody's ever told me this.
It's true.
And then you sit there like, I bet, and I know, and it's unfortunate, but I'm the one doing it. Just want to make sure that you remember, I'm the one that's telling you right now. You know what I mean? Remember me. Man, that's such great value is what's needed inside of any communication moment. Anytime that you're building a relationship, you have to be able to see the value of the person and be able to deliver value back to them and understand that person still took their time. Their money is just as green, right? And it's all digitized now, right? So it transfers the same. Your numbers go up if you fund this many deals. Is it a little bit more to deal with? Yes, but it's worth it. It's worth helping these people. It's worth building your clientele. The thing that we were so blessed with and inside of being in a store for so long is, well, as salespeople, when we first started our career, we were inside of the store for about a year before we were to another spot and then on the road. And then we were, doing marketing all over the country. Then we had the chance to be inside of a dealership for some time to then see these faces really come back.
Yes.
To see them making those upgrades, to see their kids now buying cars. That is the stuff that makes you say, wow, I am so glad that I firmly planted my roots, my root system, and I can see the fruit of it now. Yeah. But with that, I've given pointers to them when dad was in a subprime status. Now dad's a mid 700s co-signing for his son. That could not have been possible had we not had an honest conversation 6-7 years ago. You know what I mean?
What's even funny is they even walk different.
Yes.
They have a different swag about them. They come in, they're all like, hey, what's going on?
But still do whatever he says. Whatever he says.
Listen to Fred. He knows what he's talking about. And that's the thing. Like, that is. And that all starts with the very first question we asked you. It's a legacy that you're leaving. Right. Even that is part of your legacy, folks. The people that you touch, the people that come back, that if you educate them and they come back and the things that you said happen, that's your legacy. They will remember you for that. They'll remember you the rest of their lives. And that's crazy as it seems. A car buying purchase is very emotional. A car buying purchase is a very big deal. In most people's cases, it's the number one biggest purchase they make. But maybe the second in a lot of cases, a home and then a car. But there's a lot of people who don't buy homes. They just buy cars, right? So remember that is a big deal to them. This isn't like going in and buying a pair of new Nikes. This is literally the biggest decision that most people make, or the very first big decision they make in their lives. So make sure that you guys treat them right and do the right things, and that all starts with being trained the right way, and I'm going to ask that. I know we've been going for a minute. I'm going to go for the third question on that.
We can tend to ramble.
We can ramble a little bit. Yeah.
I'm trying to shut up, man. I just want to keep interrupting, but I know you guys go, right?
Please do so. Please do so.
You can interrupt anytime.
Just put your hand like that, and we know.
Look, just one more thing. I know we'll come back to it at some point. But I hear from car guys and car girls all the time, and they ask, well, look, if it's not a commodity-based business, which the commodity has to happen, right? The transaction has to happen because that's how we get paid, right? But they're like, if it's not a commodity-based business, then how do you make money? I'm like, look, if you provide the solutions and you're a servant, then the money happens.
That's right, every time.
Right? If it's only commodity-based, then you never build a relationship with a customer. They rarely come back to you. The referrals don't happen. You don't get their kids, their grandkids, their aunts, uncles, cousins. Nothing happens except that one transactional item. It's like Walmart. and this is what we use in training all the time. And there's nothing wrong with Walmart, biggest retailer in America, right? Brick and mortar. Yeah. But people go to Walmart for one reason. It's a commodity-based business, and they have the lowest price. If you look at their stars on Google, their rating is like 1.5 stars here in North Carolina. I'm sure it's probably the same everywhere. You don't go to Walmart for the experience, for the relationships. You go for the price. And that's a perfect correlation to prove to car people, right, that people will pay more for an experience. They'll pay more for solutions. And it's not always about the commodity. Is there a place for that in our business? Absolutely. And there are models that prove that as well. But that's not the business I want to be in.
Nope. Right. And commodities in that it's always a transaction that's going to happen.
Correct.
Happening. So you either put yourself in the path of it and make sure that people have designed their pathway to getting that commodity only through you, right? And or it'll go the other way. Like I know that we'll do all that we can to kind of dodge Walmart itself because of the relationship inside of that experience, right? Because of the way things feel, because of the experience. We will pay a little bit more. We'll pay 50 cents more, $1 more for that little thing to not have to go through the Walmart experience, if you will, where some others would actually, I'm always going to shop for that price. And me, I don't mind it so much, but sometimes it's different when you do see that, hey, this is less, but I prefer the relationship. It is actually better over there, but I prefer the relationship with this person. I prefer to do business with this person. And like saying earlier, like if I was that guy with the kids that are now doing it and I walk in and Fred's my guy, this is the hero. Listen to him because you're going to buy cars the rest of your life. Buy it from this guy. This is the relationship you want to have instead of it all just blending into the ocean of where the transactions can happen, because ultimately there's one you and there's one product that you're going to really buy today. So let's make that connection. We can make that work. Right.
Yeah.
I love it, man. Absolutely love it. And that's the thing. We all get trained on this type of stuff, and some people take the training and they go with it. And then there's people that have really influenced us. And that leads me into my next question. When you've been coming up in this business, you've seen things, maybe life, when you've been coming up in this business of life, you've done a lot of amazing stuff, man. You've written books, you've put out shows, and Carmen, I've watched it. Amazing. There's a lot of stuff that you've done that are really, it's really unique to the business. And you try to bring, what you bring to the business is you bring light. All right. But there was somebody who influenced you. I'm sure there's somebody that gave you a great mentorship, said, hey, gave you some great tips. Who would that person be?
Yeah, look, as odd as it may sound, I think most people expect me to say my dad, right? And make no mistake about it, he's taught me most of what I knew about the car business and continues to be my mentor.
Absolutely.
However, we didn't have much of a relationship until I came into the business because I never saw him.
Right.
I spent more time with my father when I started working for him at 23, 24 years old than I ever saw him as a kid. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? We build on those experiences in our mind. But the first person to put their arms around me to answer your question and said, look, you have greatness inside of you was Tom Hopkins. And Tom, to a lot of people that don't know that generation of sales trainers, which was probably Tom Hopkins, Joe Verdi, Jim Rohn, some of those guys. I went to a success seminar, and they used to travel quite often, right? Came to every city. It was free to get in.
Right.
And it was usually Tom and Joe, and Jim was on some of those. You had a couple celebrities. Christopher Reeve, after he had his accident, was at a couple, right? And he said like 4 words, and everybody stood up, and it was a pretty cool thing, right?
Yeah.
But Tom was there, and man, Tom absolutely blew my mind when I saw Tom. So, of course, you get him free, but they sell you their books and VHS tapes at the time, cassette tapes out at the table. I'm assuming that's the way they made money. So I went to Tom's table, man, and I'm like fighting through those people. I'm like, man, you just changed my life.
Wow.
And, he said, hey, just move to the side. So, and of course, Tom's still a salesperson, right? Tom's got this guy right here. So when the crowd had cleared some, Tom's like, look, man, you need my whole deal, right? It's like normally $39.95 and you get all these books and all these tapes and all these. And I said, brother, I don't have I'm 24 years old. I don't have $2,000. In 1999, I'll never forget.
Right.
He said, well, who can you call? So I said, I called my father on the payphone at the Coliseum. I said, dude, I just need your credit card number. He said, for what? And I said, well, I'm going to buy this. Man, you don't need that stuff. You don't need any of that stuff. Just listen to me. You'll learn everything you need. Because my father really didn't until later. He saw it worked, right? Because I really believe in, in training and informing yourself and getting better. And my dad was like, look, you learn from experience. He's old school. He's a military guy, right?
Yeah.
I said, look, I'll pay you back. Just okay. Gave me his credit card number. I went and got the deal. Tom actually invited me to his boot camp, 3-day boot camp deal. Changed my life again, right? Then Tom invited me to his house in Phoenix, right, for a Academy Master Closers. And when I say invite, I paid for all this stuff. Tom was awesome, and I still keep in touch with Tom. And full circle later, and you can say that's a mentor. But I wrote Tom this pre-email, right? I was writing Tom letters and sending Tom cards, and Tom would write back, and then Tom got my number, and then Tom would call me, and I would call Tom, and we ended up writing a book together.
Wow.
And Tom's still the guy that put his arm around me, and he'd say, look, man, you're destined for greatness. People need to hear what you have to say. And whether that was for, and I'm going to be 50% cynical here, right? Whether that was for his monetary gain or not doesn't matter. It's how I chose to accept it.
Yes.
It mattered. And I accepted that Tom Hopkins, who to me was the greatest salesperson that I'd ever met and ever talked to, told me I had greatness and I could be as great as he was. I believe that. I chose to believe that. And honestly, I don't care how much money I spent with him or how much money he made. That's irrelevant to me because I chose to believe it. I chose to accept it, and I chose to act on it. So long answer, but the short of it is Tom Hopkins.
I don't think that's a long answer at all. I think that was a very perfect answer. Yes. And what I really love about that, and speaking of the him making money on that like you said, doesn't matter. Because here's the thing: if you didn't pay, would you have gone that hard on it? Right. Nope. And that's called accountability. A lot of times, folks, when you really want something, you have to show how you want it. And when you're a trainer and you're something like that, when somebody brings, like he knew, hey, you need this. You're like, I don't got it. You called your dad. You got it like this. That means you had to close your pops to give you that money so he can get it. So right then he knew you were a closer.
One of the hardest calls I've ever had to make, by the way.
I could imagine. I don't know how you did it.
My dad's not that guy. You don't call and ask him for $2,000 for a bunch of tapes and books. What are you talking about, son?
But it was the best decision you ever made, and you sold it to your dad as this. I'm passionate. I want to grow. I want to do it. And he understood it, and you did it. And you even said, "Hey, look, I'm gonna pay you back." And not only were you able to pay him back, you look where you're at now. Right. And that's the thing. And Tom saw that in you, and that turned you into a monster in your mind. There's something about having somebody that you look up to, like, wow, this is like almost godlike, right? You're like, this dude is amazing, the best car guy, best closer I know. He just said I could be as good as him. He just said that I have that level inside me. Wow, that does encourage you. I know that every time I've ever heard that from somebody I look up to, it always made me feel wonderful, and it made me feel way more confident in myself, and don't get me wrong, I have a lot of confidence in myself, but at the same time, there's something about people feeding you a little bit of that, right? And you earned that from the guy that you looked up to, that you went to a meeting and you saw all these great car guys and you were like, this is the one. And he saw that inside you. There's something about that. I see that in people too. I see that when I hire somebody, there's something about them inside them. that they're going to go big places and you just want to help them get there. And I'm so glad that you found that.
And that's that goes back to the legacy part, right? Because Tom told me, and then I desperately want other people to feel the way that I felt at that moment when Tom told me that. Yeah. And I get so frustrated, and man, I have to back myself down because I'll get angry when they choose not to accept continuing education in some part, because it's so, man, I sound like the old guy now, but it's so much easier now. And we had to pay, I could dig, I don't even have to dig. I keep these Joe Verdi VHS tapes, right?
Yeah.
Because I paid like $4,000 a piece for these VHS tapes in my own pocket, right? This was after Tom Hopkins. And they're in pristine condition, but I absolutely wore them out, but I paid for them.
Right.
And you don't have to pay for any of this stuff anymore. Mm-hmm. It's like this show we're on today, right? People can access this information and this learning and this training, man, and get life experiences and pay nothing. And we didn't have that luxury.
Nope.
And part of that's fantastic if they choose to accept it. right? Internalize it and learn from it and act on it, right? You got to act. But like you said, because they don't pay and there's so much of it now, a lot of people say it'll always be there and it's free, so it's not important.
Right.
That's right.
And that concerns me a bit because I don't know, it frustrates me.
I totally agree with that. And it is a little frustrating because like the accountability thing, that factor, that drive it's there because it's everywhere now. We can learn, you can watch the show, you can go, those Verdi tapes, promise you they're on YouTube. They're on YouTube. Look up Joe Verdi. You'll find anything you need for training. Look up Grant Cardone's old videos, are all there. Everybody's videos are out there. You just got to go get it. But the thing is like he said, there's something about putting a little skin in the game. When you put a little skin in the game, man, it makes you really dig in there. You really want to read. It's like somebody gives you a book to read. Most people don't read it, but if you buy the book, you probably read it because you spent money on the book, right? So it's something about that. Like he mentioned earlier, somebody could watch a video, doesn't mean they're going to learn nothing. You could take a horse to water, folks, but doesn't mean they're going to drink it. So if the ones that do drink it, man, great. The ones that don't, man, hopefully one day they do. But that's their decision. You can only show them the way. You could only give them the path. You could only do everything that you can to help them, but they have to help themselves at the end of the day. They have to really focus on it and get planned out for that. So, man, I love it, man. Tracy, you bringing some great stuff.
So much. I mean, you're making, me, Jay, jump into different places of again, just going back to the seed and then the fruit and the time in between. And when you unlock something that's on somebody else's life by sowing a seed into it, you make yourself a receptacle of what is on them. So you putting that, it didn't make his world. It didn't change his world, you paying him that. There was a monetary gain, but his life would have been pretty much going in the direction it already was without your deposit, right? But it was crucial for you to get that seed into the ground so that there was a pathway to be opened up for you to reap what was on his life. That's it's honor. And if you give honor comes back to you. And whatever you give is generally what you'll see coming back. But if you open up the doorway for people to deposit, for people to encourage, for people to be able to give the best of them to you, then, and you actually want it. See, it's one thing to just have that, right? If dad went and bought all of those tapes and had all that stuff sitting at the store because dad knew everything, it wouldn't have been the same for you.
Nope.
Just it's sitting there, right? You had to go seek it out. You wanted that truth. You wanted somebody to pierce something inside of you that exploded a well of great, incredible, life-giving oil and water and all the things that it takes for us to continuously grow and move on in life. You sought that out. And because you sought it out, you're enjoying the fruits of your success because you've gone through sometimes it's hard to get through those conversations, the little bit of pain and struggle. And sometimes the pain and the struggle is having a hard conversation to get somebody else to believe that you believe what you're saying. You know what I'm saying? That you really believe it deep in your heart. Dad, I gotta have it. We gotta do this. Dad, help me. And then to have them attach their dollars behind your passion shows the level of understanding that usually can only come from a mentor. He may not have even got it. Like, dude, I don't even understand what you're talking about. There's nothing in there that I don't know, and I'll teach it to you, son, if you just sit there and listen. But no, Dad, there's something in here. And then there's that switch that says, wow, you mean this. Wow, you're very, wow, I've never seen you moved like this. I'm willing to put whatever I can behind it because, son, I want to see you grow. I want to see my legacy with that gleam in their eye, with that hope, with that spirit. And that's the seed that then turns into just, Dad gave a number, but he gave a blessing to that seed that you were putting in and said, I'll put a seed into it too, son. I believe in what you're believing in just because you believe it. I mean, I know nothing about it, but I'm with it. You know what I mean? And that's why it's important for us to build the people around us too, to say, hey, your ideas matter. Where you're wanting to grow matters. And I want to help make sure that you grow in that path. And it's not always business, right? A lot of times our business gets stronger by building up the people and their personal than when we're just trying to say, hey, focus on building my business. Hey, I want to focus on my business on building you. And then, man, you got pillars that'll keep you strong for a legacy of time. But speaking of keeping us strong for legacy of time, we've had a lot of people say a lot of things. let's hit that up before we jump to this next question. You want to run through some of those because I can't see them all. I know Wendy was with us. Good morning, Wendy.
Yeah.
Good morning, Alex.
We got a lot of amazing people.
Yeah, a lot of great Solutionaries
Alex,
in here.
we got what I can't even see it. My eyes are I'm getting older. I can tell.
Rexy is from India. What's
India.
up?
That's right. We got Jay. What's up, Jay? Jay is a good friend of ours. I love that he's here this morning. Appreciate you. We got Jason, my dude. Jason Garris, Nextel app, my dude. You got Brad Owens. Thank you for being here this morning, my friend. Robert Jacko. This guy's an amazing dude. I love him. His videos are the best. Then you got Joseph Perez.
Bro, you did a great show the other night, bro.
Yeah, he was on Paul Meyer Live on Sunday Night Live. Very good show the other night. Joseph is a great person too, folks. If you haven't, reach out to him if you guys want to get to know more about Joseph. But man, great heart, great person. Fixed ops is what he's all about. So, all right. So that being said, what's up?
So inside of that, again, we understood that the toughest or one of the hardest conversations you've had to have is, Dad, hey, give me some of your money for my dream, but
for something he didn't believe in, that was tough. Yeah.
But this is also, and for those of you that are just catching up or just now listening on the podcast in the future, we're talking with Tracy Myers, who's actually been homeless and has had some hard hits on the chin. So asking a person that has risen to the levels that you have in business, and of course you're still climbing, that's what keeps you in the game, is the joy of being able to say, how fast can we make this engine run? You know what I mean? And I want to know, what has been the hardest thing for you to learn, like the hardest lesson inside of all of this? I know mine was, and this was years ago, just take title away from money, right? You started in the detail department, but that was important, for that purpose. It wasn't about the money. It was about the growth process. What has been the hardest lesson you had to learn? Because for those of you that don't know, if you're a PhD, Papa has dealership, right? If you're one of those and he puts you inside a detail, how many of you would make it through that test? I'm over here really questioning myself. I am.
He waited until I was already here and moved and didn't have a lease. And, it's like, okay. And originally I had thought that I would stay there until I found something else, because no way I was going to stay there. And that just turned into a couple of years, right? Because then it turned into, I'm going to prove to him I can do this.
Damn right.
So there's a little of that father-son competitive nature coming out there. But that was always a good thing. But the toughest thing for me, it actually goes back to what you were just saying. Even though my dad always said it, sometimes we have to live it to actually learn it. And he said, look, son, titles mean nothing, don't mean anything. And I really didn't understand what he meant by that until much later in life, because I thought if he made me a sales manager, I'd be a sales manager. If he made me a manager, I'd be a manager, general manager, right? If he made me the owner, then I guess I would be the owner by default, right? If he made me the owner. But just because somebody says you're a leader, that doesn't necessarily make you a leader. And if you don't have the title of a leader, you can still be a leader, right? And that's what I try to transpose that to my team all the time. You don't have to be the team leader. I don't have to call you a leader. You prove yourself to be a leader by your actions, and by default, you're a leader. So that was really the hardest thing for me to grasp. So, because I think, especially when you're younger, you want to be the boss, and just because somebody appoints you the boss or knights you as the boss, that doesn't make you a boss, right? It takes skill, and it takes a skill set, and those are learned attributes. Now, there are terrible leaders and terrible bosses and terrible managers, and yes, they're appointed, put in those positions, and they stay in those positions for whatever reason forever. And that's another conversation for another day. However, that doesn't mean that they're good at it. It's like that 8-car-a-month salesperson, right? And they know everything, and they're training the new people that are coming in at some stores. Like, what the heck are they doing? Shadow this guy. Why? He's selling 8 cars. Why would I shadow this guy? I want to shadow the other guy. Well, he's too busy. Exactly. I will make him coffee. Whatever I've got to do for that guy, right? Let me shadow him. I will stay out of his or her way. Don't put me with an 8-car guy. The reason the 8-car guy's got time is because he learned how to sell 8 cars his first 90 days in the business, and he's not grown since then. And there's way too many of those people in our business. And I guess every store might need that 8-car person that gets out of people's way and doesn't burn through opportunities. But they drive me insane. But anyway,
underachieving, and that's the thing. Like, it's that you're so right. If you're going to learn from the guy who's crushing it, right? I'm not going to go to the guy who's below average or at average. I don't want to be an average guy. The thing is, like you said, there's too many of them out there. They got comfortable. There's a thing I'm very not happy with. I was very comfortable for a while too, but then I realized being comfortable is not the way I want to live. Right. I'm bored. I start to get anxiety. I start to make mistakes because I'm trying to feed myself this energy from something that's not a good source instead of just doing it every day. Right.
Well, and we're not growing unless we're uncomfortable.
100%. If you're dying if you're not growing. That's how I feel. So when you're comfortable, it means you're about to die. Or you're trying to. That's the thing. Like, and it's such a key thing for you folks out there. If you guys are right now in a situation where you feel like you're kind of plateaued out, look at yourself, reevaluate what you do every day. I'm sure that if you tweak something that puts you out of your comfort zone, just a hair even, you will start to see growth. You will start to see something different develop in your life. And 99% of the time, it's something amazing. 99% of the time, you're going to open your eyes and it'll turn you into doing something else. And then you start getting into a pattern or a habit of uncomfortable, which is a beautiful thing. Thrive to be uncomfortable. And I think that's something that you, and I know you do extremely well. You've done a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but you do it all so well and with so much passion. I mean, there's nothing that you don't do that's not any passion in it.
All that came from the fact that I didn't feel like I necessarily maximized all my opportunities at the original store. Mm-hmm. But I wanted to challenge myself to see if I could open another store under a different name, under a different brand, and grow it. And that's what we did. And then I wanted to open a third store under a different name, a different brand, and grow it. And we did. I said, I want to do, my son was 7 or 8 years old at the time. I grew up watching wrestling. So the first thing, pro wrestling, not Olympic style wrestling, right?
Right.
One of the first things we actually did together, and one our connection points was going to pro wrestling, right? The Ric Flair, Stone Cold Steve Austin wrestling. And he was automatically drawn to it. And that was our thing, right? As father and son. So when he was 7 or 8, I said, you know what, I'm going to put on, do a fundraiser here in town, and we're going to have a wrestling show, and my son will come and we'll have fun. And, it went from being in the park, it was going to be in the parking lot of the dealership, right, in 3 weeks type deal. I said, no, man, I don't do anything like that. Why would I do that? That's just not the way I function, right? So I saw the poster, I'm like, man, this looks so horrible. This doesn't fit me as a brand, right? This small little, wrestling ring in the parking lot. Nothing wrong with that. We've done that. But anyway, let's make this thing the biggest, the best, the baddest, right? So let's push this thing 8 months out and see how bad. And keep in mind, I knew nothing about creating this myself. So like my dad said, man, surround yourself with people that know how to do what you want to do, right? And let them push you to the top. I said, okay, who knows how to do this? Because I don't know how to do this, right? So I brought those people in. I said, I want to put on the biggest wrestling event locally. That was the initial goal, right? Because that's all I knew. Well, that first year, and it was during Thanksgiving, the Coliseum, we rented the convention center. The convention center folks, they said, look, you'll never bring anybody in on Thanksgiving. That's just not the way it works, right? We don't even work on Thanksgiving. You got to pay our guys time and a half because it's holiday weekend. That's fine, whatever. I think that's the weekend, right? So we went from a one-day event that drew 2,000 fans, which was insane. So now we are one of the largest 3-day wrestling conventions in the world that happens at not last year for obvious reasons. It's Thanksgiving weekend every year, one of the largest in the world. And we raised $30,000 or so a year for the Salvation Army, but directly their division where they give to kids and families who don't have a Christmas toy drive. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So, but that branched out to a monthly promotion, right? Which branched out to a TV deal. And this whole time I'm like, man, I don't know how to do any of this stuff. Okay. You've produced TV. Okay. You're on. All right. How do we make income from this? Well, you got to sell ads. Well, I can sell. I got that part, right? But then I realized, man, I've got 3 dealerships. I can do it, but I'd like to sleep.
I'm going to probably have to.
Yeah. So hire somebody that can sell. Here's what you need to sell. So I've really found out that my building blocks are the same for every business that I own, right?
Right.
Bring in people that know more than I do, that know how to do what I want to do, that have done where I feel like they can do and achieve greatness, and then, tell them, show them my vision. I'm the vision guy.
Yeah.
Right. And the overseer and,
Idea guy.
the idea guy, and you implement, and I'll watch you. And if I think we need to tweak it or change it, we have that conversation. If I don't micromanage, because that drives me insane. Right. If you're not the guy, you're not the girl, we have the conversation. We have the conversation again. If the changes aren't made, we replace you, but you get the opportunity to make it right, because obviously we saw something in you from the beginning. That's why you're there in the first place. So, all the businesses really just, it's like this. I'm like, and at 49, I'm like, man, we can really do this with everything. When we did conventions, exactly the same, the mastermind groups that we did before COVID hit, same exact thing, same concept, because I've never done those. And they're like, well, you know how hard this is? I'm like, yeah, but I'll find somebody that's done it before.
That's it.
It didn't seem like that big of a deal. I'm not trying to sound egotistical, but if they've done it, bring them in. It's proven, and let's rock and roll. Let's do it. Right.
And it's important that you deposit that trust in them to be able to do that. People have to have the room to run. Right?
No doubt.
A great thoroughbred trainer has to give that thoroughbred the space to know it can unload. Yeah. Go for it. And if they feel restrained, then you're never going to get their full potential out of them. Well, at the same time, they need to know that you're feeding them, that you believe in them, and that you trust them to get you to the finish line, successfully. And that's awesome.
That's why you put those people in place to trust them. You've learned that, through business, through failures and wins and all that stuff. Once you put it all together, you have a good recipe, and your recipe's working. And you're right. Hiring people that can do things that you cannot do will elevate you. That's what it's all about. I was told at a very young age, when I first got in this business, as I was starting to come up through management, they were like, listen, when you hire people better than you. If you're a B+ person, hire A+ people. If you're a C person, you hire B people. You always want to elevate your game by surrounding yourself with people you want to have or be like to run what you do. Not knowing something isn't a bad thing as a leader. That's actually great that you can acknowledge that you don't know it, and then you get somebody who does. That is powerful. That is the way you do business. That is the best way to do business. It's the easiest way. I mean, you can spend the time to learn it, but then, like you said, your plate's so full. Why do I need to know what I know, and I'm going to hire people to know what they know. And that's kudos to you for understanding that.
And I'm sure you've learned a thing or two, right? I'm sure that you've watched a few people that know things more than you.
Most of it from people that knew it before I knew anything about it, right? Yeah. And I found out over the years, and it happens way too frequently in every business, that poor leaders, they always hire down because they're not confident. They're afraid that person's going to take their job. So I don't want to hire somebody better. This will make me look good if I hire down because they're not as smart as I am. I want to be better than they are. They only keep them under my thumb, and that drives me insane, man. I'm real passionate about that. I want all my people to be better than I am, all of them. Because if I came to the dealership every day and I can't learn from them, then I'm bored to tears, and we're going to feel miserable.
Dude, I love it.
I got to give you this.
Yeah, man.
I got to get that one.
Mad props to you for being at the level that you're at and understanding that. And that's why you're going to keep growing and keep moving forward. You're just 49. You still have so much life and so much more that you're going to do. That's so exciting to even think about, and I'm pumped up for you. I know where you're coming from. And that leads me into my next question. We've talked about all this amazing stuff. We went from understanding what your why is, knowing why you got in this business, how you got in this business, the path that you took, your greatest mentors, to include your father. I know you brought him up a few times, and I know that he's up there. So, I know that though you didn't name him as the mentor, he is still a big part of why you are who you are today. Yeah. So that being said, we talked about your failures, but let's talk about what your greatest reward's been. Out of all the stuff that you've been through, all the things that you've been able to do, you've been nominated for Emmys, won Emmys. You've done a few things, and you've written books, and you've hired and started different businesses. You've promoted, you've helped, you raised children. You've done everything that a lot of people want to do. But out of all that stuff, what do you think's been the greatest reward?
Yeah, look, the greatest reward by far is watching my children grow.
Man.
And being able to plant those positive seeds into my children. And once again, it's just like anyone else. And this is the tough thing about being a parent. Whether they choose to accept it or not, it's completely on them. But as parents, that's really all we can do, right? Give them the tools to succeed, and hopefully they'll do it. And we always have their back. But and it gets a little. It gets you get a little. The older you get, and older your kids get, rather. I get insightful rather than I was sitting there talking to my wife. I'm like, man, our son's, he's 18, 19 in March. He's almost never home now. He's a senior in high school, right? He's working at night. I'm like, dude, the house is so quiet without this dude, right? And said, but he's still living at home, so we do see him, right? He's got curfews and all that stuff, but he's working. He's talking about maybe coming into the family business and wanting to come into the family business and where he'd like to start. He thinks he'd like to work for my dad, he calls his papa, all right, for obvious reasons. I mean, it's his grandfather. My dad, as tough as my dad was on me, right? He's a lay down for.
Of course he is. We all. Yeah. You're gonna do the same thing one day, Tracy.
It's like, who is this guy, right? He's like, Dad, you'll be too tough on me. I was like, well, but wherever the experience comes from, we're watching it, and to see how different him and my daughter. She has my son definitely has the gift of communication and gab, and he's never met a stranger and can talk to anyone. And my daughter has a lot of the creative side of me, right? Because I love marketing, and I say all the time, my heartbeat's really marketing and advertising, right? Because I love to pack a showroom, and I'm really good at it, and don't think anybody can do it quite as good as I can. Even though I know there are some folks that can. But man, that's my, that's what excites me. It's like promoting wrestling. I love to pack the place and let's move to a bigger building next year because I'm really good at that. But I see that creative nature. My daughter, she's a musician and can play multiple instruments and goes to New York in the summer and auditions for stuff. And, but she's 15. Wow. And the opportunity she has, but that, man, my greatest reward, about hands down, is being able to spend more time with my kids than my dad did with me, right? But my dad, understanding my dad worked so hard and he wasn't there, so I could do that.
Yes,
sir, man.
Yes, sir.
So it's like, and being, me being, and I'm not a smart guy. Look, I almost fell out of high school, right? But being reflective, respective. I don't know the proper word here. Being able to acknowledge. Right? Yeah. To acknowledge and reflect back on and connect those dots and to see, man, that's why he worked so hard, right? So I could do this, whether he consciously did it or not. But look, he did. And this is like, new revelations here, just saying it out loud. Sometimes you say things and you hear it, say, oh, yeah, well, this is right. He said it when I was a kid. I said, damn, man, you're never here. So you got to work again. And he said, look, I want to be able to work hard so one day you don't have to. I mean, he would say things like that. So it was a conscious decision on his part. It wasn't that I'm just working to go make money or so I can pay the rent. Kids don't understand that. I got to pay the okay, so what, man? I don't mind sitting in the dark, dude. If you're here, I'm good with it, right? And as kids, I think most of us probably say that, right? You're here more, man. I don't care. We can go to a hotel. We can stay with Nana and Papa. Whatever we got to do, right? As long as we're together. But he would say, look, I don't want you to have to do that. Work as hard as I do. Well, dude, I connected with that. Not as strongly as I do now, obviously, but I understood that. And he was really good at putting that into a way that I could understand it then. And he's always had that talent with people, though. He can move, his thought process around to talk to different people, make them understand. And one of the things makes him such a great business person too, because
he's a car guy.
What? Huh?
He's a car guy.
Well, he is a car guy. Look, when I bought the dealership, he went to real estate and he built another thing altogether, and it's like, what? You gotta be kidding me right now. All this, it's insane.
That's because of that work ethic he has. He's kept it together. He's been consistent with it. He's always shown you a path to greatness. He's trying to show you the best way he knew. Just like we talked about earlier, people who, with the credit situation, like, it's whatever they know. It's the best they know. So he's going to give you the best he knows. And his best was really good. And his best was to show you that hard work can provide your family a great life. Hard work can give your next generation less stress, if that makes sense. We all want to work hard. We all want to do it. And you still, Tracy, hands down to you. You're a hustling. You work really hard. You're a good Christian man. You're a good father. You're a great leader. And I really appreciate you for being here and sharing all these stories about not just about yourself, but about your father, about your mentors, about your children, even, and your children, I could tell that mean a lot to you.
Yeah.
And that's a beautiful thing.
I can't leave my wife out. She's watching. So
yeah, of course. Yeah,
she's definitely one with you. Right?
We both understand. Our wives all know that we still love them. They all know where they're at. That they are what guides us by far. I know for one, and I'm sure you feel the same way, Tracy. Without my wife, I would not be where I'm at today. I would not be as happy or as complete.
And I told her going in. I said, "Look, here's the deal." Because my dad said, I asked my dad. I said, "So, how did you and Mom, who are polar opposites, right? You're type A, and she's Southern lady, right?
Yeah.
Soft-spoken, all manners. My dad, not so much. How we made it? How's your marriage so successful?" When I saw that me and my to-be wife was to a point where that relationship was going to move forward, right, or not. You got to make a decision. And he said, "Look, you've got to set your expectations up because we're entrepreneurs, right? It's a family of entrepreneurs, man. My relatives, the first Myers that came from Germany, literally two brothers that came here, and we joked that they literally didn't come with two hammers, but they were builders, right? They were builders, and we say they came here on a boat with couldn't speak English, and each of them had a hammer." And they built, that was the springboard, right? That's where they stepped off and married, two American women, and that's where the whole deal started. So literally, it's a family of entrepreneurs. And he said, you've got to set those expectations, which goes back to what we're talking about with customers, setting those expectations right from the very beginning, right? And building that relationship. So I just told her, I said, look, I work a lot. My hobbies work. I like to work. I love what I do. I'm not going to be home a lot. You'll never go without. I'll communicate properly. I'm not going to cheat on you, screw around on you, right? And I'll be a good and a good father if we had kids. If you can deal with that, man, we can move this thing forward. If not, we see how quickly we can break this off, because I can't go any further emotionally, right? And I don't think you want to, right? If we can't come into agreement with that shit. Oh yeah, I'm good with that. I knew that. Right. It's obvious. And it's been that way ever since. So she never, not that I'm getting those 97 texts like at 7, 8 o'clock. Where you at? When you coming home? Where you at? Where you at? I never get that, man. I'm so thankful for that. So God bless her.
Yeah, man.
Seeing that connection, of course, that's the things that we value most about the guests that we do have here, is the value that they have for their family, their understanding of where it is that they come from. Of course, we're all sons of immigrants to this country in some capacity. And so being the first generation born in the States here, Fred was born abroad.
I was actually born in Seoul, Korea.
I mean, there's so much that we understand has been the path. And the thing that marks me as well done, or yes, that was worth it for everybody. I say that for my grandfather, for my fathers, for my grandfather's father. Right. And somebody walks across and passes me to go say, thank you for your service to my son, to go to my other son and say, thank you for what you taught me. I wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have you, right? To see the honor get given to your daughters, to your sons, to see that fruit start to come from their life is what sets you back into place to say, man, that was worth it all. That was definitely worth it all. And then them get to the spot that you're at to say, man, I remember Dad telling me I'm doing this so that you don't have to. I'm also doing this so that you can have a path to purchase. He literally put you on a path to purchasing your own dealership, and doing that. I mean, I can only imagine the honor the honor and the fill with joy that he was when being able to pivot that conversation to say, son, it's your time and you need to do it. And you were ready and you accepted the challenge and you stepped up. And that's a true legacy of growth that is being deposited everywhere you pour out. And we're honored that you had the chance to pour it here inside of the cafe with us.
Yes, sir.
We are better car guys because we've had this conversation.
No doubt, man.
Thank you.
Man, it's so good to see the subprime lifestyle being done in another state the way you do it. It makes me feel great because I want to get this across the nation. I want every dealership to implement it. I just think that subprime is such a missed opportunity for a lot of dealers out there. And I think that if you see people like right now, you see Tracy talking about what he's talking about and how well he's doing, and that is his market. You know, we do really well. We're the number one independent dealer group in the state. And we do nothing but subprime pretty much. So there's something to it, folks. Do not miss out on that opportunity. Be somebody who changes people's lives, just like Tracy talks about here. Tracy's always looking for ways to leave a legacy on this planet. He's always looking for a way to make it better, something better than he left it, right? Then he started it. So if he starts something, he wants to leave it better than it was, right? And that's what he does. And he does it with such class and such energy. And folks, like he said, you don't have to be a super educated person. You don't have to have a great degrees and all these things. What you have to have is want. What you have to have is the ability to just keep doing it. You have to believe in yourself, for one. Believe in yourself. I believe in you guys. I believe in Tracy. I'm so excited to have you here, man. Thank you so much for this day, man.
To stop.
I know that you have a busy day. You have a bunch of businesses to run and things to do. So we do appreciate you for being here this morning, folks. Thank you all for coming out and watching.
Thank you. Share
this out. This thing is going to be on replay, folks. We will also re-release this here within the next 30 days as podcast, as pieces, just for sound, everywhere you can imagine. Spotify, Apple, wherever it is, we are there. Make sure you guys check it out. Tracy Myers, folks, killing the game, doing the thing, doing it the right way. Keep growing, folks.
Car guys, car gals, if you didn't know, we have a Solutionary that's in here. So one thing that always happens with the Solutionary is they get to have the Car Guy Coffee podcast experience with a mug and a t-shirt.
That's right.
So make sure that you do send us your size and an address that we can get you a nice t-shirt and a little bit, maybe an Inspiration shirt in there too, but a coffee mug, maybe a bag of coffee. And all of you car guys and car gals that are trying to truly brew solutions and taste something good, well, we are now certified organic. You can go to carguycoffee.com and get you a bag of caffeinated consistency.
That's right.
To put inside of your cup so that your day could be upshifted and uplifted.
That's right.
We are so thankful that today we have been upshifted and uplifted by having an incredible car guy inside of the cafe with us. All of you incredible solutionaries that have been here, we value your time. We're so thankful. Yes, Joseph talking that hashtag subprime.
That's right.
It is serious. We need to help them.
Man, I've had so much fun this morning and got so excited and warmed up that I forgot we have a foot of snow outside.
Yep. So
but it's going to be good. We're going to get to the lot here in a few and get this lot ready. Folks, you guys have a great day. You guys go on. Tracy, is there anything that you want to say before we get out of here?
No, man, look, I appreciate you guys and what you're doing. We need more guys like you in the world, not just our business. So thank you so much. If I can ever do anything for you or anyone listening or watching, man, I'm a servant. So I love to help. I love to watch other people grow. I'm literally everywhere on social media. And if you get one of my profiles, it's me on the other end. So, man, just hit me up.
Tracy, I'm going to reach out to you myself. I might need some mentorship from you, man. You're an amazing person. I really look up to you, man. Keep doing your thing.
Appreciate it. You are one incredible car guy, and we're so thankful that today we've been able to jam out. So make sure that the beat is inside of your head, some good solutions are brewing inside of your cup.
That's right.
And that you are connecting to build the relationships with the right people all around you to go be the leaders that you are. If you're leading somebody into a purchase, you're a leader. If you're leading a floor full of car guys, you're a leader. If you're leading a dealership, you're a leader. And if you are taking that towel across a car to make sure that it leaves nice, shiny, pretty, then you are a leader. You be the leader where it is that you are. Because today you're there. So you might as well lead it to a better direction.
That's
We're
right.
so thankful that each and every one of you car guys, car gals, and solutionaries have been brewing with us. This is Lou Ramirez, the car guy.
And this is Fred Lenartz, the subprime hero.
And you have been brewing solutions on the Car Guy Coffee podcast.
That's right.
With Terry Myers. Thank you, everybody. Have an incredible day. We appreciate